Hi everybody, this is Diana, aka Pop Culture Diva 42, and happy birthday to Quentin Tarantino, who is half a century old! In honor of the man's birthday, I wanted to do a video where I talk about my favorite 3 Quentin Tarantino movies. For somebody that has been so influential to movies and to the film industry, Quentin Tarantino actually hasn't made that many movies, and if you look at his IMDb page, he doesn't have a huge body of work, but his body of work is hugely influential. And please don't nobody get on my case for not mentioning Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill. Like, dude, there are only 3 movies. I'm not aiming for completion here, and honestly, I always thought that Pulp Fiction is highly overrated. But the first movie I want to talk about is one of his more recent works, Inglourious Basterds. And the thing is that the first time that I saw this, I wasn't actually that crazy about it. There's something about it that irked me the wrong way. But the thing that I discovered is that Inglourious Basterds is hugely rewatchable. Like, it has a rewatchability value for me that is uncanny. And I say that because being that this is such a being that this is such a brilliantly cast movie, every time that I watch it again, I find a new performance that I'm crazy about. For instance, today I watched it for the third time, and I love Daniel Bruhl's performance in this. And before that, it was all about Hans Landa, and before that, it was all about Brad Pitt, and blah blah blah. So yeah, that's something that every time that I watch it, I find a new character or a new performance, better yet, that I really like. Also, I think this is a movie that proves how much Quentin Tarantino has matured, because I find it to be very elegant and very classy. But at the same time, it has a very, very hard edge. You cannot deny that this is a sometimes very violent movie, and also very kind of brash and in your face. But at the same time, when you see characters like Hans Landa or like Hickox, you know, they're gentlemen, and they're very classy, and they're very polite, and they kind of lend that personality to the movie. At the same time, it is very European. Like, I love the fact that you have characters in here that speak 2 or 3 languages. You know, you have Hans Landa, who speaks German, English, French, Italian at some point, but you know, the Italian is only for like a little bit. And you have all these bilingual actors, and it gives their performance so much nuance, because they act a certain way when they speak English, they act a certain way when they speak German, and it doesn't necessarily go with just what the character is supposed to do, but just, you know, the idea of language affecting your reality and whatnot. And yeah, you know, these are some of the things that I thought about upon repeated viewings. So that's why, you know, Inglourious Basterds, very elegant, very mature for Quentin Tarantino, while at the same time he managed to retain his own, to keep his voice and his own, you know, skewed way of looking at the world, while at the same time being an excellently cast movie with bilingual actors and multilingual and polyglots. Is that a word in English? Like, I know it's a word in Romanian. Do you have polyglot? And also, I love the fact that it is a movie where people have conversations instead of talking, because I think that there's a big difference between talking to somebody and having a conversation. And Quentin Tarantino has always been good at that. Like, his characters don't talk to each other, they converse. And that brings me to the second movie that I want to talk about, which is actually my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie ever, and that is Reservoir Dogs. Now, I don't really know how to explain why I love Reservoir Dogs so much, but I think it's just a simple movie where less is more, and half of it is because of Quentin Tarantino's style, which does involve kind of showing you a little bit and letting you piece together the rest of it, but also because it's one of his very first movies, and he didn't have a big budget, and that implied improvisation. And I love improvisation. And I think you can see a lot of similarities between Reservoir Dogs and Inglourious Basterds. In these two, I think you can really see how much Quentin Tarantino has changed, but still found a way to kind of retain his own voice and his own style. both these movies are about situations, about something being set up that then blows up in the characters' faces, and how will the characters, react. It didn't seem like to be very gimmicky or very kind of hunched over under the weight of all the stylistic references that Quentin Tarantino wanted to place in it. And I know that it is kind of influenced by Asian action movies or Hong Kong action movies, and I think there is actually a movie that is pretty much identical to this one. I know somebody pointed it out at some point. But yeah, I don't want Quentin Tarantino to be original. I just want him to be fun. The last movie that I want to talk about is actually not directed by Quentin Tarantino, but it does have the script written by him, and that is True Romance. I don't want to take anything away from Tony Scott, may he rest in peace, who did have his own contribution to this, and obviously it is a Tony Scott movie first and a Quentin Tarantino movie second. But I find it very interesting that Quentin Tarantino said that this is the most autobiographical thing that he ever wrote. True Romance, I think, really gives you some insight into the kind of person that Quentin Tarantino was when he was younger, and who he is as a filmmaker, and that is relevant to who he is as a filmmaker later. You see a lot of Quentin Tarantino, by his own admission, in the character of Clarence, and those are the kind of fantasies that Quentin Tarantino had when he was younger. Getting the blonde girlfriend and coming and kind of being a vigilante of sorts, because Clarence kind of does become a vigilante because of his relationship to Alabama. And again, this is a brilliantly cast movie. You have Christopher Walken, Robert Duvall, Gary Oldman as Drexel, a truly memorable performance. And then you have Val Kilmer as Elvis Presley and Brad Pitt as a stoner, and all these little performances, like in Inglourious Basterds, just little performances that give the movie so much flavor, and again, the idea of rewatchability. So these are the 3 movies that I wanted to talk about, and I just feel that each one of these kind of says something about Quentin Tarantino, something very authentic and true. And not to say that, you don't find him in Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill or all the others, but what these movies say rings the truest to me, and it felt like, Quentin Tarantino just reaches out through the screen to get at me, and I'm like, no, Quentin Tarantino, don't, I don't like you like that. An influence over the cinematographical. I want to say cinematography. The cinema. For somebody as hugely influenced, I was going to say something super smart, but obviously my tongue is not working with me. So the first movie that I want to talk about is one of his more recent works. Let me fix my hat. It's European history. Having an American come in and rewrite European history, it was just a little... When I watch Inglourious Basterds again and again.